Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Cold for episode 100 of On the Backs of Gods. We have hit triple digits, boys.
And we haven't died yet.
And, there has not been a PC death yet. Happy episode 100. Somebody's not leaving today.
Oh, God.
And I would just like to say thank you to everybody who's here. Thank you for the people listening later. Thank you to the team for sticking around for this fucking long. And for surviving that beautiful tower. I'm your DM, Jillian, and we have our players. We have Kyle, Mac, Josh, and the ghost of Christo.
Ooh.
Ooh, spooky. I will go ahead and give us a quick recap. And I think we'll jump into things. And I believe, as my reminder, only one person has the inspiration dice left that can make me re-roll a d20, and I have to go with whatever it lands on, if they are not content with what I do currently. Anywho.
I chickened out of using that last episode, and
You did.
Maybe I should have anyway, but
and it made your character go unconscious.
Yeah, but I didn't die though.
You're not dead yet.
So maybe now I'll have the opportunity to keep from dying this time. We'll see.
Yeah, you just hold on to it. Anywho, last time you all were inside of what had been referred to as a wizard's tower, and this tower was below the waves, upside down beneath the earth, and was there for thousands of years, so says the people. You have found both denizens of the tower, one of them a corrupted being with intent and the ability to use magic, and it seems the ability to try and cast a ritual spell, but was never able to really finish that off. You also meet a woman stuck inside of a mirror, and quickly, after one vibe check, agree to let her out.
It was a good vibe check.
The remaining denizen of the tower, a woman named Aliona, who, once released, there is a bit of a hesitant back and forth, a bit of a warning that she does not want to go to blows, but if she does, she will not go down alone. And everybody chills out. Everybody calms down. She says that it is fine that you are going to take objects. She has opinions about people who steal from the sites of battle, which she informs you that she was fighting in a war as a general, and her house was attacked directly in a sneak attack. And she was placed there in this mirror by darkness when they lost the tower, and that darkness being Chernobog, a god whom she had been fighting against while she worshipped her god Bello. She only asks for a few things, saying you can take everything else from the tower, but she wants to keep her gem, she wants her wife's gem, and she wants her journal. Those are the things she requests, and says she will in turn meet with your benefactor and will give you objects from an interdimensional storage space that she had been staving. And that's what you do. Items are swapped. You ransack the rest of her place. You enter to the last floor of the tower, which is an observatory of sorts, where you can see stars above you, which are your stars. It is your world, your place in existence that you are seeing above you. You all make your way upwards. During this time, Aliona, more than gracious, helps you steal from her library. And you allow her to go through the bag of holding to get some of her clothes back after you stole most of them. So, a little back and forth, keeping it equal and even. She uses almost like all of her spell slots to just get up these fucking ramps. And during this time, the shadow asks Roshan to go back to the room where they had fought the corrupted being, because the shadow is interested in what sort of magic was happening in that space. Roshan goes back under the pretenses that he was going to get his lucky pen that he dropped, and everyone's like, that's normal and okay.
Except for Donna!
And it's like, cool, go do that, my guy. And Roshan begins to do a ritual, finishing or contributing or doing something. He isn't entirely sure. This is all under the Shadow's direction, to do blood magic in the space, while Alyona happens to walk in and watches, seems to not have much of an issue, and backs up your pen story. Some people more suspicious than others, but you all continue your way out. During this time, she does consume and keep some of the ashes of her deceased wife. And on the way up, you hear the sounds of shattering glass as you are pursued by these creatures that seem to be comprised of the very glass that composed the mirror she was freed from. Beings reflecting light and your images just shining brightly in the space. As they came, it seems to rock everyone's shit. Alyona decided not hers, and Misty steps to the other side of the water wall. And it becomes a hectic combat of trying to let Roshan finish his ritual casting of Tiny Hut so that they may walk through the space. And you all get through. Feeling as though something is still in pursuit, you all hurry out, and at the last moment, Gorbjorn grabs onto the chest plate embedded into the wall and rips it free. Alyona also at this time seems to have no magic for encountering large amounts of water because she said she was landlocked where she used to live, and is not prepared for a at least 600-foot rise in the water in Titanic waters, one could say. But one of the little inflatable wristbands is given to her. Everyone says good luck.
I mean, we give her as many buffs as we can.
And it seems she survives the endeavor, as with her last bit of effort, removes enchantment upon the tower, which falls in on itself. And all of you are once again picked up by Ivan Frey, the Jarl who has no interest anymore in being a Jarl and is just a fisherman. And being introduced to Alyona, he bends and kisses her hand. And that is where we leave off. You do see while he is kissing her hand, all of you can see this. She's been doing this the whole time. She like flicks her fingers occasionally and like little sparks of the magic come off, almost like a little sparkler. She does this often. You see a slight hesitation in the flick of the hand as her hand is being kissed, and then the release. And he straightens back up and she glances over. I am fucking cold. And starts to slowly prestidigitate the water from her clothing. She's wearing this thick, very nice dress and is trying to just get the water out. Looks heavy.
Yeah.
But you all are officially on the boat. Is there anything you guys want to do?
Well,
I think Roshan would do the same for the group. It'd be nice to be dry.
yeah, would be nice.
Not as terribly affected as Alyona, but you do get everyone dry because eventually, in a couple hours, the heating salve will wear off.
Right.
You,
yeah.
Roshan.
Thank you very much, Roshan. Well, so long as we're out here, and not as though I expect yes as an answer, believably, but did anyone happen to catch sight of those god-awful oysters down there as we were rocketing up to the surface?
I wasn't even looking for them.
No, that's... yeah, I get it.
Maybe
Neither
we
was
can
I.
find some along the shore. I don't know. Small priority compared to whatever else we're faced with.
Understandable, but it was one of the things we were hoping to get done so long as we were here, and still a low priority, but definitely something I wouldn't be thrilled to have to make an extra trip out for if we could avoid it.
Ivan clears his throat. What are you looking for?
really nasty. Were they oysters? Were they clams? They
Some sort of bivalve.
They cut the shit out of you, is what I've been told, to the point where you probably die unless you're very well prepared for gathering them, and we've been asked to get a few by a friend in a town a few paces back, so...
God's blood oysters.
Does that sound familiar? I'm not sure if we were given a name for them, were
You
we?
have been given a name a couple times. It's God's blood oysters or Freya's
is.
blood oysters.
Okay.
Those are the two names they go by. So it does ring a
Okay.
bell. It doesn't sound like ooh, a new oyster. What if we
Okay,
bring
I was about to say, oh
a
god,
new
another
oyster?
one?
There's more
Yes.
shitty oysters.
God's blood or Freya's blood oysters. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a license to gather those.
Well, neither do we, but nonetheless we were asked rather insistently to get a few. I don't suppose you know how one may acquire such a license?
Well, I know where to get the oysters.
Well, fair enough.
And would you say that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission?
I mean, once you're out of this town, nobody's gonna care.
Well, we're certainly not hoping to stay much longer, never mind indefinitely, so that seems like a fair trade.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much. People aren't going to reach into your bag if they are suspecting you have those in there willy-nilly.
Excellent.
And you
Built-in
understand that if you
security.
do get cut, it's 90% of the time fatal.
Phew. Lord. All right. Well,
So we've heard.
yeah. It's something that we've at least done some preparation for, and hopefully it's enough.
Can't be worse than eggs.
You've had some particularly nasty eggs, Gorbjorn.
Ivan nods and he looks you all over. There are a few spots kind of on the way back. Do you want to wait a bit before I stop at one?
I wouldn't mind a while to rest before we go about attempting some death-defying mollusk gathering habits, yes?
You'd also be going down at night. So
I don't know if that's better or worse. Probably
That is
worse,
worse.
but...
it's worse. I'll be very upfront with you. That's worse. So we
how
can-
much light do we have left? Is it like definitely maybe an hour or so and not much else?
Not much more.
Okay.
We also
Alright.
don't have that much time left on ourselves, so
Yeah, that's true.
gathering them after that would be difficult.
worse.
So
And weren't these oysters more like brought up in like passing rather than like I need this to survive?
It is not a survival thing, that's for sure. But you guys don't
It's
have to get them. But Ember said she would give 10 gold per oyster.
That's
Which-
I don't care if it's
I
gonna
mean-
cost me my life.
I mean, 10 gold per oyster could be good if we can find a very nice cache of them. If we can find a very nice cache of them,
Yeah, but then I
Great.
have to like do a check every time I try to take something out of the bag.
well,
These oysters just at the fucking ready in the bag of holding.
didn't we get a bag for them? I seem to remember.
We got a-
you
we
can
got a
throw them
bucket.
in a bag.
a bucket.
You're welcome to put them in anything. I would say if they are in the bag of holding, they are not a threat to you until you request they come out. Then you could have an issue on your hands. But
Well,
you
what if
guys
we
are
have-
welcome to try. Ivan can inform you of the setup of
Okay.
where these oysters are if you're interested.
I'll say that I don't think I can recover much from a short rest.
I'm just thinking like I gave away these gems. If I want a quick cash scheme, I'm not gonna pick up a bunch of 10 gold oysters. I'd rather just get the gems.
That's fine. We don't have to get the oysters. It was a favor we were doing for a friend. We're under no obligation to get them. We could just get to shore and get warm and put this town behind us.
Honestly, I'm inclined to agree. How do you all feel?
I mean, Ember was perfectly kind to us, but I'm more
She made
inclined.
us steal a bread recipe.
Yeah,
If,
but that was fun. I would do that again. It was better
was-
than the last thing, and
Mm.
and I would like to help Norl with her problems more. Those seem more pressing than Ember's desire for these oysters. If we happen to see some in a safe place where we can gather them, then maybe we'll gather a few of them as a favor, which is all this ever was. So don't, under no delusion, this was a major cash opportunity.
I will only say, if we're going to find any other major repository of corruption around this part of the coast, it's probably going to be around the very deadly oysters. If there is anything else putting out a large amount of that problem in this area outside of the tower.
I'll be honest, I was interested in seeing these oysters and collecting some of them, but I feel like shit. And I think I've come close enough to dying enough times in the past day that we can skip over them. Maybe Ivan can mark the locations on a map, and we can, if we're back in the area, make our way back through and try again some other time. But I am perfectly fine with getting back to an inn, drinking a pint of mead, and sitting by a fire, and having Jericho off of our God's damn backs.
I'm all for that. Gorbjorn, Roshan, how do you feel?
Could just kill him.
I don't feel like having the entirety of the law enforcement of a whole town on our backs as we are trying to leave said town. So please let's not kill him, but...
Well, let's not go to the town then.
He knows who we are. He knows who Nana is, where she comes from.
Do we still have a dwarf in the inn?
Yes.
All right. Fuck, I forgot he's there.
How could you forget about our dwarf?
I thought we just camped him out on the beach, and I thought he'd be safe there.
No!
And Norl has
Like at Olavi's house. He's like 10 feet from Olavi. I forgot. I'm gonna make a note.
and Norl has Jenny, and I'd like to get Jenny back as well.
There is that. And on top of that, Thick Biscuit, who is, at this point, no doubt, very much hankering for a biscuit. So
The 3 best characters are in that town.
we've got to go back! The dwarf,
Thick
the horse,
Biscuit,
and the
unconscious
bird are
order.
there! We have to go back!
They're my favorites.
Let's just head on back to town then. And Ivan, it would be very much appreciated if you could mark for us on our map where we may be able to come across those oysters at another time. But after the adventure we've had down below, I believe we are all in agreement that we'd rather just head back to shore.
You see that through this conversation, his gaze has shifted over to Aliona, who is currently staring at the sky. Has said nothing, has not moved, is just staring at the sky. And Ivan is staring at her and then is pulled back in. Yeah, I could do that.
Thank you very much. Would be
I
appreciated.
would bring something to keep yourself safe from sharks, though. That's kind of the issue around these oysters.
Oh, I see. Well, that's one thing we weren't informed of that we know about now. So we can make a note of that should we come back through at some later date. Thank you.
I'll start getting us home, but don't get, too excited. We won't be back till tomorrow.
That makes sense.
Ivan, have you ever seen whales with unicorn horns on them? I've heard that they exist, but I don't. Are they a myth?
He unfurls the sail and then like looks back at you over his shoulder, like the wind blows his hair. Because you've all decided this guy's hot.
Yeah, he is.
And he's like, let me tell you a story. And the boat rocks forward and begins back towards shore as he tells you the story of how he definitely has seen a narwhal and knows exactly what that is. The word is not used, but
No, of course.
He speaks of many a mythical creature he may or may not have seen. What would you guys like to do? Night is beginning to approach. You currently have some light. There's also like a little lantern on the boat, so it's not like you're plunged into darkness.
And plus, we've got the Lantern of Revealing as well. Actually, Nana would like to use that for kind of like looking over some of the stuff that we got from down below, just to see if there's anything hidden about them.
So this is my request, and you do not have to follow it. This is just what I think will make everybody's lives easier if this is the path we go down.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know what items you are giving to Silas.
Okay, so my first thought was to identify everything. So that way we could gauge its value, and then decide which ones to give to him, because he requested specifically, oh gosh, I have it highlighted.
I've got it. It's a Journal of Pre-War Musings valued at 10k gold and 2 Cian gems valued at 70k.
And art and paper goods, uncorrupted romaines, and things enchanted.
Jewelry, gems.
So I think Roshan would start by identifying all
gems.
What's that?
Jewelry, gems, and coin, I believe, are things you are allowed to keep.
Yes.
Oh, things you may keep. That's right. I misread. My bad.
Everything else he requested.
Right,
Yes.
right. Art pieces and the like.
So I think Roshan wanted to start with identifying the books, and if there are any good ones, setting those aside and not writing those in to give to him.
You begin to set out the books, and Alyona glances over. None of the books are magic.
I was hoping that the identify spell would just give me basically the back cover of the book.
The ISBN and the UPC.
Sorry, I need to. One moment.
Oh, I guess that is a bit of a gray area on identify.
That does not seem to be within its purview.
Okay.
Rats.
Then I would then he would start with the magical items, and I think most of them he would plan to give away unless there was something really cool.
Unless there's something super neat. Let's go backwards in the tower, shall we?
Sure.
I'm going to start with the things that Gorbjorn acquired in the mirror room where you found Alyona. You first pull out a marble mask with flecks of silver on it, like little pinpoints. This is identified as the Mask of Bog. It gives you the ability to see into the astral plane and to attempt to cast divine intervention if there is a god you worship. But because if you don't have cleric levels, you got to roll like a 1, you know, you got to get a 1. But if you have the levels, it's different. So that is the Mask of Bog. You pull out a ring. This is the Ring of the Arcane. It is a golden ring with a blue gem that almost looks like it's melting onto the band. This has 1 charge in it, and as an action, you can consume a 3rd level spell or higher, and it acts as a 1 through 3 level spell slot.
I definitely need that.
I need it for my looks at hand magic.
Is that something that Roshan could put a spell into, and one of us that doesn't have 3rd level spells can use?
No.
Okay.
It just affects the spell slots. It's just the power in said magic. The other thing from the chest is an orange gem in a golden, in a silver setting, with runes carved around the edges. This is a gem of seeing. You get 10 minutes of true sight.
Nope.
Going back through the book. The next magic item that you pull out, I'm just going to pick them for you if that's all right.
Okay.
Kind of like a grab bag. You pull out a large fucking metal snake, and sort of like look it over and set it down. And she looks over at it, and you hear Alyona snort. That piece of shit, I suppose. Did you take the armor as well? There was armor near the snake in the war room.
It's down here still. I haven't gotten it out.
Well, all of those things, if I am injured, they will attack you.
Oh, yes, we've had experience with stuff like that before. Okay, great. Good. So please, we'll keep you as safe as we possibly can. You stay as careful as you possibly can, and I think we'll all be okay.
I'll just put all the things that would attack us back in the bag then.
Just push it back into the bag. It's fine. Ivan will protect me. And you see him like a little smile out of the corner of his mouth.
Like his shirt is slowly losing buttons.
There's just it's just like he just slowly gets hotter and hotter each session, just like slowly Fabioing right in front of us. Like what's happening? What is happening?
It's a different kind of corruption, baby.
Oh no. You know, there's always
Didn't
a
know
good
you
time.
knew this about yourself, but now you do.
He's a himbo.
He's
What a
like-
burden.
You find a golden staff. The top part of it has like a diamond looking gem at the top. It almost has like a walking stick appearance. This is the staff of the Lightbringer. You can cast the light spell basically indefinitely. And you can cast it as like a non-touch spell. Like it has a range now that you could just be like, light over there, please.
Ooh,
And
that's nice.
it also has charges of sunbeam and prismatic spray.
Oh, nice.
You can use one of these a day. If you use sunbeam, there is a chance the whole thing could explode.
I love it.
Don't you love when the staff's like, you're too powerful, it just explodes.
Ah! Yeah,
This
sure
weak
love
body
when that
can't hold
happens.
my true form.
I'm free, and the sun is birthed from the staff.
Oh,
That's
well,
where
there
you
go.
were.
Ah, you
Hey,
jokester,
champ.
you.
Hey, Raw.
Um,
How you doing?
you find you find the wand that you found in the bisected room on that body.
Mhm.
This is the wand of the War Mage. You get a +1 on spells and ignore half cover when using a spell attack.
Oh.
If you see something I'm missing, you're welcome to tell me, but
We get the
Um,
armor that Gorbjorn pulled off the wall. We'll get the shield, big ass shield that was too big and awkward to be used as an actual shield.
Alyona informs you when you do pull the shield out. Well, you brought the shield up. It was the shield for the suit of armor that would protect her.
Ah,
So you grabbed its shield. And it is now up here. The armor, you try to identify it, and it's like trying to read a strobe light. It's sort of like your identifier's like, this is as the enchantment keeps going in and out on the object. It does not stay steady enough for you to read.
and that's the armor with the big hole in it.
Yes, that is the broken armor.
well, I'm going to try and get a bit of rest so I can be awake and alert when it's dark outside. You folks, please figure out what we need to pay Silas for our larceny and Gorbjorn's vandalism, and not a dime more.
There's a falcon head staff.
Oh yeah, and a falcon statue, and yeah.
The statue is just, so you have those types of things. It's just not
Non-magical.
magical in kind. That can be fine to the, I feel like the falcon staff is something though. But
That
you
one
guys are,
did say magical by it.
yeah. It could be the one that I just talked about as the light staff.
Explodey
But I'm
one.
going to double check. But you guys are
Okay.
welcome to check or welcome to talk of other items and
Oh, and
what
we've
you
got,
would
like,
to give to
paintings.
Silas.
Paintings and stuff too, right?
Yeah. Paintings, busts, things of worth, a lot of books. You did find a lot of books. It's up to you
Did Roshan
what
want
you
any
want
of
to
them?
give him. Hmm.
Did Roshan want any of the books?
Just like
I
a
mean-
nudge at the side.
Yes, I think he was going to give them a quick once over, and then set aside any that sounded interesting to him.
Statue. What do you all plan to do with things such as, but not limited to, I would say some of the things from the astral storage container, if any of those suit your fancy. Yeah, you guys kind of
Nothing-
lost out.
Nothing
Oh,
else
big
there
one.
is magic, right?
No.
While sorting through finding the diary key, I think Roshan would turn to Alyona and say, is this yours? And then hand it to her.
Thank you. And she puts it into her like leather satchel that she has everything she owns in, it seems.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what happens when your tower under the sea gets collapsed by ending the enchantment.
Or gets robbed, whichever one you want to look at for that.
Well, one happened and then the other also happened, so
She has done just fine without all this materialistic bullshit for 10,000 years. She
Hey,
can
we
continue
didn't
to be
even
fine
know
without
she
it.
was alive either.
She seems to be at least verbally okay with what happened.
Yeah. And, like, we don't want to press the matter too hard. Nana does kind of want to, like, it didn't, I'm hoping, escape her earlier that she was kind of, like, looking up at the sky for a hot minute, just kind of, like, taking it in. And assuming that didn't pass her by, if
It happened for an extended period of time, you all would have known.
all right, I'm assuming Nana cannot contribute very much to evaluating the monetary value of what we're planning to give to Silas, unless y'all really want my help with that. But otherwise, she does kind of want to check in with Aliona and kind of see how she's doing a little bit. Just sort of remark to her, I can show you where my favorite constellation is, if you would like.
Roll insight.
Is this how to flirt?
I mean, it's not strictly a flirt attempt. It's more like an indirect attempt at, like, a check-in without trying to pry too much. But we'll see how successful that is. Probably not much. It's 13?
You see her open her mouth to say something, then she stops. Sure. And sort of turns her eyes kind of like directed to you.
Well, just up there, we've got a constellation just there that we call, actually the Archer. My brother showed it to me when I was quite small, and it connects through that brightest star in that section there, and draws the line of the bow just through that line of stars, and that collection is the head and the torso. They have the bow drawn back, about to fire. Story goes it was a competition between him and another archer, and he was the victor and commemorated. That's a very short version of the story, but
I see. So you all told me you are not fans of stealing, and yet it seems you have recently stolen other objects, bread recipes and what have you. It seems to be what you are inclined to do, even though you say it is not.
well, a little bit of petty larceny. I'm not strictly above. I'm more inclined when it seems warranted. The more recent, much larger larceny that we took part in would not have been my first choice, but we were given rather few other options to enable our friend to come back from the dead, and he died on our watch, and it seemed ill payment to a friend not to try, at least, and it was either steal from the man or kill him, so it seemed the lesser of two evils.
I would tell you which one I would pick, but I'm sure you can guess.
I believe I can guess, and quite frankly, I believe very much more fervently in your ability to pull it off than ours. I mean, we might be able to, but it's much longer of a shot.
The thing is, this is a different place, and currently I have no status and I do not exist. If this person died, it would be no repercussions for me, but it probably would be for you.
Sadly.
So as I said, I will chit-chat with your friend, and you will give him my pilfered objects, and then hopefully all of us can go on our way.
Yes. I'm sorry for our part in all of this, for whatever that's worth. In this day and age, it's frowned upon to take from battlefields, just as it was in your time. But there are many folk who make their way in the world, taking those artifacts and taking that power and doing as they will with it, and there seems very little that the common man can do to stop them, but to seek out other powerful things to make them stop. And it's not always easy to see what the least bad choice is out of all of that.
I have already informed you I will not be membered for my morality.
Mm-hmm.
So what big, bad, strong men do, I may have to be doing that. I have done that. And in my current situation, I can't say that I will not do that. But we'll see. You know, maybe I become fisherman. I will not become fisherman. I cannot stand it.
Well, there's much more to do in the world than either be a fisherman or be a petty or not so petty larcenist. There's quite a lot else. There's learned folk, there's people who advise the Jarls and the king, there's people who search for the mysteries of magic and look still for the remaining beings from your time, in fact. A friend of ours has long since been trying to find the source of some leads towards Jormungandr. She believes he still exists and is still somewhere out there in the world.
Mm. Well, it is just you and me. Ivan is going to run his fingers through his hair, and then he is going to gently slap the wheel. And there's a pause, and you watch Ivan run his fingers through his hair and slap the wheel. I could also predict maybe he bashes his head against it until he is unconscious. But there's no reason to do that, right?
I would certainly hope not.
I agree. And she like hits your shoulder a little bit, just like a little pat on the back.
How hard a pat is it? I'm sure she treats it as like a pat. How hard is the pat, objectively?
She is not the strongest woman in the world,
Okay,
but it is
okay.
it's solid.
Okay.
I'm just informing you that I am just trying to keep things a little even. I have no friends on the boat, and now I have one friend. That's all.
I see. Well, if nothing else, whatever comes, I would like to help you as best that we can. We are hoping eventually to somehow make things a little bit better, at least for our village back home. Maybe even for the continent. And I can only hope that, I don't know, maybe somewhere down the line you might be able to predict a future where you might stand beside us sometime.
I am very good at one thing. But I'm adaptable. And she just kind of turns her gaze back to the sky.
Do you have a favorite constellation?
It's funny, I usually look at them from inside, and it is more for planning purposes. And I would say just to everybody on the boat, besides the hushed parts of the conversations where I'll make Ivan bash his head on the steering wheel, that part, I would say most of this is audible. It's not a big ship. As Roshan is spending like an hour ritual casting these spells over and over and over again to get the items. It's strange. I never really thought to pick a favorite. It was never a worry.
Is there one that you recall a story for?
I'll tell you if I think of one.
Fair enough.
Roshan, as you're pulling things out of the bag, you end up pulling a skull out of the bag that is firmly attached to a spine and has like golden wire holding it in place. And she looks over. That is General Fearcheck. It's a big deal. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a big deal.
General Fearcheck?
He was one of Chernobog's generals. Big was.
Yes, I can tell.
It was kind of like a dating gift given to me by a very special lady.
And I can only imagine that there was a glorious battle beforehand prior to that particular gift being handed over.
I only know glorious battle.
That also makes sense.
And you can see when somebody doesn't. And it'll be something to get used to, I think.
Yeah, there's not been very many large, glorious battles for some time in these parts.
Then I might be, how can you say, irrelevant. I may not be the most useful person and you hear the next word and you don't understand it. And she talks for a moment and then looks at your face. And you hear her curse in a language you don't understand. Tongues is worn off.
Oh, no! Oh.
And she kind of like shrugs at you like, oh no. And then fully turns her focus back to the sky.
Damn.
Only have so long with it.
Yeah, and it's not like I want to pressure her to cut up her tongue again. God.
The thing with the tongue again, my guy. So like what I'm saying also, just bouncing back and forth, is that General Fear Check would also fall under the category of things that Silas is looking for. Does that go to Silas? I just want to know what he's getting.
Yeah, I think it's
The remains
Roshan's
of a
intention to
general
give
of Chernobog?
any of the relic looking things to him, because he does believe that they'll be well taken care of. Maybe not against super crack thieves like us, but he does have a
Probably.
genuine interest in preserving the past. So
Mhm.
that, and then I think there was a bust of Bello and a marble relief of Maxim.
Mhm.
I think Roshan would offer the personal things to Aliona first, but
you offer this relief of her son, and she looks at it. At this point, Tons is gone, and she just like looks at you offering it, and then gently pushes your hand away.
I think Roshan would just nod and then start adding things to the pile. Well,
Are you giving all of the magic items? I think that's kind of the big question.
I think he wants to hold back Wand of the War Mage.
Mhm.
And we'll only bring that out if he needs to. But otherwise, the Mask of Bog is pretty cool, but I don't think any of us could use it very well. So I think, yeah, all the rest of the items would go to him.
Anna might be able to use that staff, but Fenn's meditating right now, so he's got no input on this.
I mean, Nana's the one out of the group who probably needs
Or
light in dark places in perpetuity, but
yeah, or also the ability for true sight for 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah, that one's
That's
gotta be very expensive.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to get away without
Yeah.
sharing that.
All right, just the
Unfortunately.
thought. Again, Fen is attempting to meditate right now, so no input.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe if, God forbid, at any point Aliona suffered any kind of, like, injury at some point, not from us necessarily, but at some point during her adventures in the wide world, and these things just so happened to go berserk on Silas.
Oh no.
Oh no!
I feel like it would just be the snake pops up and just leaves, and he's like, "What the fuck just happened?"
I mean,
It just got up and left. Somebody owes
That's
me
even
money.
funnier.
Yeah. It's like,
it's like...
he just has to
didn't
pretend
know.
it's a party trick. He's like, "Yeah, that's what I wanted to happen," and then and somebody gets an angry letter.
Like a howler.
That wasn't me.
Where the fuck is my snake?
Is there anything else? Fen has started his rest. Ivan seems to be the type who is going to try to push forward through the night. And you see Aliona has not set up in any way indicating she is going to lay down anytime soon.
Roshan would start going through the books and making notes on anything he finds interesting. Still planning to give most of those away unless there's any good gems in there. And generally keep his distance from Aliona.
Wherever
That's
she
fair.
sets up on the boat, I'm not next to that, please. Thank you.
Yes.
That's fair.
I'm 10 feet away on the other side of the boat.
She could maybe like lean over and touch me, but I am as far away as I could possibly be.
You know.
Is this like a long ship that we're on? Like what does our boat look like? Is it like a Viking longship or like a galleass or?
It's more like a long ship and has a big old sail. It's not meant for too much rowing. So it's a little, it's not meant to be able to be, used by a shit ton of people. It's meant for like this guy to struggle on his own to use it.
There's not like a below decks or anything. There is
not that. You are all above decks. Everybody
There is
sleeps
only
just
the
on
one
the deck.
deck.
Yeah, there's not anywhere else to go. Everybody can see each other at all times. Unless you went under the boat, which is a choice. But besides that, no privacy here.
Nah, yeah. I think Nana would probably like take one shift of watch and then bunk down for the night. Watch. She'll probably kind of lean over to Roshan before she beds down and just kind of very quietly whisper, not that it's pressing, but I'd like to know how you found that quill earlier when we get back to shore. Behind a door, perhaps.
I think Roshan just nods nonchalantly, but doesn't give anything else.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fine. And Nana will bed down for the night after that.
If there is nothing else, I would assume people do shifts, and Roshan either pretends to sleep because he does not want to interact with anybody or stays up looking at books all night. Either way, anytime somebody is taking a shift or awake, Alyona is not asleep. She stays up the whole night. She
Doesn't
does
meditate
not.
or anything?
Nope.
Hmm.
Eyes open the whole time.
Wild.
Crazy. On a boat full of strangers? Wild.
Well, I mean, also fair. In the middle of the ocean when she's not used to being on the ocean and used to being in a landlocked place, also fair.
Be locked in mirror for 10,000 years? Also fair. Roshan, if you'd give me an intelligence check, and are you staying up all night?
Yeah, he'll stay up all night.
Okay.
16, 18.
18. You start in a section and you realize it is some of the books that Alyona got you about the Pantheon. There is a book you start to skim through. It's Perun, the Snap of Light. And this is supposedly like, it's kind of like their Odin. That's the energy you get from it from your quick skimming. There is Matka, Femininity and Skills of the Home. There is Death Between Hammer and Anvil. And as you read through it, it refers to the darkness quite often. And you catch the name Chernabog throughout. These are the books that you are able to get through tonight, just like by like quickly going through them. During this time, Alyona spends most of her time standing near Ivan. Not exactly talking. There's no real conversation happening, but just staying near him. And eventually the sun comes up on a new day. 3 people on the ship, never resting. As Ivan continues to push through. And you can see like circles a bit under Alyona's eyes as she sort of sighs softly and casts tongues again. So she's back in play for some of the boat ride. So what, I'm supposed to go and talk to this person and say, hello, I am an undetermined age from place that may not exist anymore, unclear.
I think he would very much appreciate your story as uh,
First-hand
some
witness?
recompense that he will not get your treasured stones, and hopefully he will find the encounter fulfilling enough to absolve us of some of our debt due to it.
Mm.
If not, well, at least he got to meet you. But the guy sucks. So if you don't want to give him much and you get a bad vibe, then only give what you're comfortable with.
To be honest, you don't really have to go.
But if you're also interested in, I don't know, swindling a bad man out of some money, I'm sure he'd be happy to fund your next adventure. If you're savvy enough.
I've been called a few things in my time. That could probably land on one of the descriptors of savvy. Isn't that right, Ivan? And like he gives like a thumbs up from the wheel. Good guy. Very pleasant. Personable.
He is.
One of the better folk we've come across, I think.
Huh. Okay. And she goes back to sort of like looking outwards, and like you see her like look at like one of these like black spires that's shooting out of the water, and is like, okay, all right, let me take this shit in.
Boy, Skull
but-
City's gonna rock her block if this is wild for her.
You all will be returning to shore today. It depends if you want to do anything on the boat prior to that. Sans
orgy?
oyster. Everyone's like, all right.
Hey!
Ivan
happens on the
turns his
boat
jaw
stays on
so
the boat.
chiseled. Just so fucking chiseled. Huh?
It's international waters, boys. Anything goes.
Fen wants to hang out like around the bow and see if he can spot any narwhals. That's all.
Give me a perception check.
Make sure they aren't.
I don't think
causing
Fen's gonna spot any narwhals with a 10. So
sad.
yep, that's all right.
You see stuff moving in the water, and you're like,
Hmm?
I could pretend if I wanted to. But no narwhal jumps from the water and like presents itself like shining in the sun and then lands. So sadly,
Boo.
does not come to be. You can see Roshan with your fucking insight, and you're looking around and you're seeing people. Alyona looks more uncomfortable than she has in this whole very uncomfortable endeavor. Like this seems like the more comfortable section of this. And she seems to be like pacing a bit on the boat, and almost nervous.
Did just Fen notice that?
No,
I think it was you that noticed that.
it was just you.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was Fen.
Yes, Fen with his incredible insight and look into the psyche of the human.
While he's looking for narwhals in the ocean.
He's busy looking for fish. He's not looking at Alyona's face.
I think Roshan, probably when shore comes into view, he's done looking through things for a while and will approach her and say, are you nervous to see people? Be back on shore again?
you can probably already pick up on that I am not a people person and that I am already struggling naturally in that category. And 10,000 years, as you put it, alone probably has not helped. But oddly, I'm not nervous about that. Roshan, roll persuasion with advantage because you are the person who let her out of the mirror.
Okay. Nat 1 but with advantage, 17.
Thank God.
Okay. She glances at you, and then you watch her relax a bit. Almost, she's like, there's really no appearances to keep up now, is there?
None whatsoever.
I mean, we haven't got any.
I am not worried about seeing people or having no home or no prospect or money or no war to fight in. I'm worried about that. And she points to the sun. And that's where we're going to take our 10-minute break. All for being here. We appreciate it. Go get a snack and a drink, and we'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
Thank you, 10.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Culture episode 100. Ooh, oh boy, we did it. We just took a 10-minute break, our 100th 10-minute break. And currently the party can see shore on the horizon. And Aliona, no longer having any status or pretenses or things to worry about, it seems, as she has nothing. She informs Roshan that her nerves do not come from re-entering society, that her fears come from the sun, as she points to the sky. And that's where we left off.
To that, I think Roshan says, I had suspected that might be the case. Have you ever met them, Bello?
I had met both of them before, yes. I had seen Bello many times. He picked me, specifically. He picked me, and I can only assume it is because I don't lose. I won't lose.
And
it was all.
And from your reaction, are they as petty as the ones that I've met?
I suppose. I'm sure they are. But he did not come when I called for him. But you know who did come? Darkness. I only asked once and darkness came. And
I know it seems arcane, but is there a chance that darkness hid you away from the light?
yes, but I suppose I asked for it. I wasn't done. My family was not done, and I asked him. I asked that we live. And Chernobog laughed at me. And he said, you know what you must give. And I did not hesitate to view him as I viewed Bello. She lived for a very long time, didn't she? I lived for a very long time, and I don't know where my son is. I hope he is dead. I hope he got away and lived life and then died as one is supposed to do. But Chernobog gave me life because I asked for it in a time of weakness. And he gave me the unluckiest version of that.
Well, then, I hope that fate has been kinder to those you left behind. And if you would like to try reaching out, I can help if that's something you'd like.
I hope that they died. I hope every face I had seen before is dead. That is what I hope. And that is what I'd like to believe.
That is Very understandable.
Oh, so if there is a god you worship, and she steps closer, or you look into shadow, as it seems you are wont to do.
There. What? Sorry.
Understand one thing. And you've stated that the gods are petty. I was free from that mirror for 5 minutes, and light came for me.
Well, I forgot what Roshan was going to say.
Opens his mouth, goes a little pale, closes his mouth.
Did she ask if there was a pantheon that he followed? Or
He was saying kind of like, if you do, if there is a god you follow, they'll turn on you too.
at this point, the goddess we all followed, she's gone. I believe she gave her life cleansing our land from the corruption that another god had left. And the others that I've met don't seem so worthy of companionship or worship. So, not really looking for one right now.
Gods don't. Gods do not die because they want to help. Gods die because they are weak, or they are outdone, or they have been beaten so low that there's nothing left. No infinite being dies. Not for us.
I think that takes Roshan back, and he takes a long stare out over the water. Thinking about the implications of what that might mean for Ave if Gulveg wasn't the selfless goddess we thought she was, then did Ave steal what was there to perform the act? But a lot of possibilities run through Roshan's head, and he doesn't really like any of them.
She watches your face intently and smiles. Don't worry. We can't be on their radar for too long. She steps back and is like, shit, I'm going to have to cast tongues again. And just seems pissed about it. As you all begin to approach shore, you can see it's about on the later end of midday. You can see it's really beautiful as you approach. You can see the buildings in the distance, and you can see the sun shining on the water, and just the little movement of boats busy at work. And eventually, Ivan will pull up to the dock he was using. And he has lowered the sail and jumped out, and has started tying the boat into place, and puts a hand out to Alyona as he helps her out. She gives him a nod. There's a lot of people out currently, You can see there's people fishing, there's people busy at work, some of the stands around. You can also see there's like a young woman who looks like maybe she is a teacher for a class of like a bunch of 8-year-olds. And she's currently like standing next to a boat with like a slightly disgruntled looking fisherman. And you can see she's like explaining the parts of the boat to the children where she'll yell a part and then they yell it in return. And this man does not look like this is his favorite lesson he has ever attended. And you can also see, standing not too far from the dock you are tied up to, 2 guard types wearing familiar garb that of being associated with Jericho and Silas Steele.
Cool.
Well, I think we're being collected.
Mm-hmm. Let's please just none of us insult Silas or Jericho, just so long as we're within earshot of anyone associated with them. Once we're out of their earshot, I don't care what's said, but just for the sake of not being rung up for more expenses or damages to his reputation or whatever, let's just keep it civil, please.
While we're out of earshot, I'd like to point out I do think he's a bit of a cunt.
Noted.
Yeah, it's out of my system.
Thank you. Anyone else?
There's just a cacophony of curses that slowly just murmur out.
Okay, we're good. It's all out of our system. We're okay.
Alyona says her goodbyes to Ivan, and places like a hand on his shoulder. And it looks like she like pulls like one of those sparks that she had like kept flicking out of her hand. It looks like she kind of pulls one out of his shoulder. And he blinks a bit and he like looks at her and she's like, I hope you have a good time in doing what you are doing. And then she leans in close and whispers in his ear. And his eyes go a bit wide and she steps back. So where are we going? And she starts to walk up the dock.
Wherever those 2 direct us to go, I do expect. They are wearing the livery of Silas Steele, so they will likely guide us.
They do step forward to kind of meet you at the dock. So like if you were going to try and run, you'd have to like jump off the dock to the side. You'd have to just leap and start running. But
we can't leave Tordrick and Jenny and Thick Biscuit behind, so we have to stay.
Also, we have to rendezvous with Silas' daughter.
There's
That's
so many
also
people
true.
to talk to. One of them approaches. Would you like an escort to the Steele estate? And just motions you like he is taking you there.
That's so kind of you.
Thank you very much. We would like that.
Great. Good to hear. And the men kind of fan out to flank you. And then they start walking.
Right.
Alyona's head is kind of like on a casual swivel as she is taking in her surroundings and like looking at people and buildings and places, and just watches like some children run by and like kind of like pulls her skirts to the side and is like just trying to get through these like awkward alleyways that you all have to walk through. And after a good walk, it seems in awkward silence, these men make no attempt at conversation. They just seem very content on getting you where you're going. And you arrive at the home of Silas Steele, which you have not been at since you stole from and destroyed it a good bit, causing a bit of damage. You currently see, as the day is starting to come to an end, there are builders that look like they're packing up for the day, that look like they are leaving the home. You can also see that there are double the amount of guards outside.
Makes sense.
And you watch as the men go forward, knock on the door, and wait. And Jericho answers it. Hey there. Welcome. That was pretty fast. I can't tell if that's a good thing or not.
We have
We did.
many things to share with Silas.
Hmm. He looks all over. He looks all over you. He looks over the group. And his eyes stop at Alyona. I'm sorry you were brought into this, but it should be over soon, I think. Let's go inside. And Jericho
let's.
turns to start walking.
It's been a journey at sea. I hope there are tea and biscuits.
Refreshments of some kind.
I would love, Roshan, for you to roll persuasion. The disadvantage was tempting, but I shall refrain.
That's a 22.
Oh, buddy.
He glances at somebody who looks like they work in the estate. And would you? That's much appreciated. Thank you. And you watch a young man like nod and turn and like head towards the kitchens, which you know where that is. You approach the living room, which is to the right when you enter the home. The
You can
smell
almost
of
tell
pee,
by the smell.
yeah, there is no longer the smell of pee, which is probably the best for everybody involved.
I can't imagine
and-
Alyona would be thrilled about that.
Aliona's like, fuck this, my dudes.
Yeah. Deals
Like,
off.
I'm not the best, but like this is all
These smells of peace.
I'm not gonna sit here in this piss room with you guys. You enter into the living room and you can hear like people walking about in the home. Like there's the creak of footsteps upstairs and people walking around and doing things. You can see some builders starting to head out still. And you see sitting on a chair in the living room, it looks like he's drinking a dark liquor, is an elven man wearing a very nice blue top that goes up into like a very high collar and then comes down near the center. He has a very angular face and slicked back black hair.
Does he look to have close resembling features with oh god, I blanked on her name. I'm sorry.
Pearl?
His daughter. Yeah.
To an extent, yes. I would say they do have similarities. They seem different in coloring, but there is like a similarity in facial structure. And you're pretty sure this is Silas just based on the fact that there's a portrait of him and his family like right across the way from him.
That makes sense.
But he finishes his drink and he sets it down. Jericho assures me that all of this can be handled amicably. So let's get started before we can no longer tolerate each other.
Well, first, I think there are introductions in order. I, of course, don't think you care about any of our identities more than you already know, but our companion here, her name is Alyona, and she was one of the original inhabitants of the tower. Alyona, this is Silas Steele, the man who contracted us to obtain the contents of your tower.
Roshan, I need you to roll persuasion. And I'm going to say this is some unbelievable shit disadvantage.
Dokie. 16.
Okay.
No, 17.
Silas narrows his eyes. That seems hard to believe.
We hardly believed it ourselves until we met her.
He was stuck in a mirror.
Roshan will reach into the bag of holding and grab the two paintings of her and her wife wearing the... Oh, wait. There's only one painting of her and her wife.
Yes.
Okay, he'll grab that one, and I hoping that Silas would recognize the jewelry they are wearing.
He leans in and he looks from the painting and he looks to Alyona, who has not said anything. And he turns to face Alyona. Would you mind introducing yourself, seeing as they do not seem to know you quite well, and I am quite curious. I am Silas Steele. This is my home. I would show you a fine collection, but it is currently being remodeled. And it's this wide, unsettling smile. Alyona takes a moment and they kind of lock in on each other. Just both of them staring at each other, and the rest of the world looks like it kind of fizzles out for them. It's just the two of them alone in this place. I am General Alyona Stontz. I served in Perrin, and I am informed that place may no longer exist. And I cannot identify any land masses on a modern map. And I knew your land before it was an island. So it is possible that maybe they are correct in who I am in regards to my ownership of said tower. Well, once ownership of said tower, no longer present. Yeah. Old. And Silas stares for a moment. This is incredible. General, would you be so kind as to just have a conversation with me one-on-one? I would appreciate having a conversation if you're available and interested. She glances around. Yes, but I'm sure it is going to cost something to speak to me. Where would you like to talk? And Silas gets the fuck up and he grabs the decanter of the alcohol, and he leads her away. He looks back over at Jericho. Handle the rest, Jericho, please. And starts to make his way into another room to talk to Alyona. And then you see from the stairs, Norrell starts to walk down and stops and fully walks back up.
That's fair.
Steps down and steps right back up.
Yeah.
Jericho is currently just sort of standing in the middle of the room. That was unexpected.
Agreed.
We were hoping that that conversation might absolve us of some of the contracted wealth due to the fact that she was unwilling to part with some of her more intimate possessions, of which Silas seemed to know quite a bit and want specifically.
Also, I want a mirror. I had a mirror going into this and it was destroyed. Silas owes me a mirror.
Get too carried away now, Fen.
I don't think currently the Steelen estate owes you anything. But I'm sure, based on Silas's excitement, that I'm sure that conversation does come with a cost, which will benefit you. But I'm here to assess what else you have brought, and hopefully these two things will balance themselves out. Let me see.
So Roshan will get all of the magical items first and place them out one at a time and share what he knows they're called, but not what they do, unless he thinks he can get a better price for it. And he'll ask for prices as he sets things out.
He does not currently provide you with prices.
Okay.
He's like, give me a moment and it'd probably be easier to give you a lump sum, I think. But these are very nice. Do you put the wand in there? Is that still being held? Okay.
The wand is hidden.
Can we start assembling the armor? The suit of armor?
Yeah. You see that he has a tiny little notebook and he's been writing things down. And when you do place a magic item in view, he does ask what it does.
Okay.
So if you do give him that information, perfect. All right, we don't have to pay anyone to identify these, so that's good.
I think next he would get out the bust of Bello with the gold accents.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, the pictures of Maxim and his relief. And also the handful of service medals. And then the skull with the spine held together by golden wire. Apparently this was from a Chernobog worshiper named General Fearcheck.
All right, that's helpful information.
And then he'll also get out the ritual headpiece with the pearls framing the face and the rug, since I think he wants a rug replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a rug. Is it covered in ash? A little bit.
A little bit, but
it
is an ancient tower.
Yes, we did not do this on purpose. We did not pick up these ashes and put them on the white rug Jillian described to us.
Oh yeah, there's a thick marble chess set and the pieces, as well as falcon statues.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's where he would leave it to see if that was enough.
You see Jericho looks at his list for a long while. I need everyone to make a wisdom saving throw.
That's rude.
Well, damn. Wisdom saving throw. 21.
14.
Oof. 9.
Buddy! You're our face! Come on!
And Gorbjorn, what do you got on a wisdom saving throw?
You there, Christo?
I'll just assume he failed.
Come on, Ghost of Christo! Where you at, bud?
So what do you three have? I'll work on that. I'll work with that.
9.
21.
14.
Roshan and Fen, you feel a strange burning sensation on the place where you had been branded by Olavi, and you get to roll again. You take the higher of your 2 rolls.
16.
It's an 18 this time.
Okay. Jericho continues. Is there anything you weren't inclined to add and are just, it's smart to wait and see how high the price has gone. But is there anything from our requested items, paper goods, books?
Yes, and Roshan will get out the stack of the books on the Pantheon, and he will regale Jericho with the story of, we originally had in our possession the requested journal, but turns out that journal belongs to Alyona, and I was able to sneak a peek inside of it. If perhaps the pages inside held anything of interest to your boss.
No. As a representative of the House of Steel, we have no interest in the contents of a living person's journal. And at this point, the only reason we are accepting these items is because she is currently present and has not stated otherwise. We are not fans of stealing from the living. Not our usual go-to. And now that this tower has an owner, we will be checking with her with each item to make sure that she is content on parting with them in this case, that there is no coercion. And these will be more of donations, which someone
Does that
such as
mean I
herself
can
needs.
write them off on my Norse taxes?
What about my Norse taxes?
Yeah!
Um,
The Jarl
I
tax
think-
and the King tax, they take their toll.
I think the general may need some coin, and we pay for donations. Seeing as these are her things, she will be paid for them. I think we can wait a moment. If you'd be willing to describe the inside of the tower to me, I can take note. Information also comes with a price tag, so that will add to your final amount. Would you describe the entirety of the tower to him?
Yeah, I don't think anything felt in need of keeping secret, though maybe I think there's just part of Roshan that's like, don't tell him about the bisected room because oh, but then the tower's already collapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Roshan will
It's
leave
like-
out that part, but yeah, explain the whole rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
tower caved in on itself. All right. With that, Roshan, give me a deception check.
I roll well today. Decent. Bastard 20.
Jericho smiles at you. Okay. Anything else of note?
We got a lot of jewelry, things that you said we could keep.
Of course.
A little in the way of coin, if Silas is interested in what the mint looked like at the time.
If
well,
you are willing to give coin, it could add to your total.
While Roshan's negotiating, just to try and like, my objective is to keep Jericho from being like at his sharpest. I'm wandering around the room like handling things, just like picking stuff up and looking at it, and you know, I just don't want him. I just don't want him in like peak negotiating mode. I want him to be.
He will fully stop. The second you pick something up, he stops talking. Excuse me. Hands to yourself, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. We brought a lot of nice things. I just wanted to see some of the other nice things that were here.
You've gotten quite the tour of our nice things. I think we're good.
Okay. It was dark before. Now it's daylight. I just wanted to see.
Yes. Don't touch anything again. Thank you. Appreciated.
I think
So some of those
Roshan-
coins.
I think Roshan pivots again and pulls out the unsent letters of condolences to next of kin. And he will break those down for him. And here's something else Silas might like. Perhaps we could share it. And he pulls out the surviving liquor bottle to celebrate a job well done.
This is currently seeming like a job done very, very well. I have a total in mind. I will relay that to Silas when he returns. And we will see if the conversation covers the difference.
I should have given her bardic inspiration before we left.
She's like,
my life. It was a life. I fought things.
She's like, you know what I'm good at? Fucking war, my guy. Literally nothing else. I've got nothing. But while you all are kind of like finishing this up, they return to the room. Both of them looking pleasant and like smiling and continuing like casual conversation. And she's like, so there are jarls, and then the jarls are under a king. And he's like, yes. As he is now describing the government system of your continent. He looks over to Jericho, and by looks over, I mean looks very much up at Jericho.
Very tall boy.
What number have we come to? And Jericho makes his way over and leans down to be closer to Silas's height and kind of murmurs in his ear and then straightens up again. Would that be the difference? Would you say that your conversations with the general fill the rest of the needs of our deal? You see him think for a moment, and he smiles at Alyona. And then when he it's almost like he's pulled out of this bubble he was in when he looks back over at you guys. There's just an anger that you see start to rekindle as he looks at you. And he takes a long breath. One more uninterrupted conversation with the general at a later date. You all have been at sea for quite some time. And we will consider your debt paid in full.
Thank you.
I believe the general would be kind enough to return at a later date. We can also talk about the money for your items, and we can go over those and see if there are any that you happen to miss out that you would prefer to take with you, seeing as you, of course, get first claim to these, seeing as that they are yours and of your lineage. How does that sound to you? And looks to her, and she looks at him, looks at y'all, glances around. I'm sure we could enjoy one more conversation together. Then it's settled. Jericho sort of stands to his full height, sort of just back straightened up. The ceiling coming closer and closer to just kind of scraping this man's head, but just out of reach. It seems everything is currently settled, which is what I was hoping for as a mediator in this situation. And I would like to extend a hand, which I'm sure will be politely slapped away. But if you are ever interested in legal paying work, I advise finding me.
I think Roshan will happily take the hand and shake it and say, we've much work ahead of us that is already preordained, but perhaps when we run out, we shall seek you out.
That works for me. You do good work.
Do you have a water closet somewhere, or do you just pick around?
You're welcome to leave.
I think we shall indeed take our leave. Thank you for your hospitality, Jericho, Mr. Steele.
And understand, you will have my continued hospitality, which maybe I'll regret. But you do not have the Steele Home's hospitality. Do not return to the grounds.
That's fair.
I'm glad you understand. That is the one warning. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You as well.
Anana will give a small bow, and if the party is heading out, she will as well.
Alyona gives one firm fucking handshake to Silas Steele. I'll return when I've settled just a bit. I think there is plenty to talk about. I believe so too. I'll see you then, General. If you have any questions about anything, please do not hesitate. My door is always open. To you only. I do not want that misconstrued by anyone else in this house. She nods. I will come alone. No guests. Have a good night. And walks by and just like gives like a slight nod to Jericho, who returns it, and she just again walks out of the place.
We will follow, or Roshan
Indeed.
will.
She walks right off the premises. How often do you just try to piss off people in power? Is that a casual thing for you often? Is that like a goal, a dream? I'm trying to figure it out.
Inadvertently more than we would like to.
As a last kindness, things I picked up from our dear friend Silas, who is very eager to talk and not think before he does too much. I wish to be introduced to Olavi Strand.
That is something I would unhappily do for you.
Cannot say
Even
it would
that's-
be advisable, but I believe in your ability to forestall any unwanted negotiations from him more than we could do to dissuade him from offering them.
Not saying that I'm going to, make deals and what have you. But he seems to have quite the power in this town, and the Jarl seems to have none. So
It's because we journeyed back to shore with the Jarl.
I know he is a coward not holding his position. So I would like to speak to somebody who is holding theirs. Unsavory it may be.
As we leave, I want to look back at the house and see if Norrell happens to be like glancing out the window or something at us, like
To the window.
if she's
Hello?
watching us leave.
I'm going to say you have really high perception. She is currently not chilling at one of the windows.
Okay, all right.
But you see that all the guards have stopped their rotation and are all casually waiting for you guys to get out of view. And if just kind of keep moving to keep you in sight until you walk out of it.
Are we following one of the guards? Are we like being escorted out?
No, they're like waiting for you to leave. But Alyona has fully left the yard.
All right.
That's fine.
He fully walks out.
Roshan will follow, and he will lift up his shirt sleeve and pull down his glove a little bit to show the burn mark, the magic burn mark on his arm, to Alyona and say, working with Olavi comes at a price, such that you may never leave his employ.
I would not take any offer of work from him at all, but definitely not lightly.
He won't. I will not be branded.
Smart woman.
He is welcome to have varying opinions. People do. But then I hope he should get over it.
I hope he should too.
Do you have any capability of removing a brand?
It sounds like it is magically enchanted at this time. No. At this time, I am still ready for war, as they say. I'm not ready for healing and niceties, but it's not that hard. So I'm sure you can find somebody who could. Honestly, easy peasy, just snap magical fingers. Child's play.
All right, very well.
Sorry, I could not be of help at this time. If you want me to burn you and this entire alleyway to ash, I could do that.
I
We'll
think we
save
are
that for a
already
last ditch.
in your debt. I'm completely oblivious to the conversation you had with Silas, but he seems very happily taken with you.
I'm very personable.
I think Roshan actually does snort a little bit at that.
Now show me to your criminal contact. And he will be my criminal contact. And you know.
Mhm.
And what have you after that? Onwards, forwards.
Toward the Laughing Ocean.
I suppose along the way we can kind of point out any places of importance that might be useful to Aliona if she needs to find food in the district, or, you know, if she wants
Second you
a
point
pair
out a
of
place with
casual
food,
clothes, or...
he fully stops the second you point out a place with food. And is like, hello, how much is small pie? And like points to like one of the fish pastries and is like, opens like a satchel from her bag, and you see starts to take like a handful of like your type of money.
Oh
And, like,
no. Why don't
how
you let
much?
us give
No,
this
no.
one to you, our treat?
I trust this vendor. You take the amount that you think is fit to give me my first ever pastry in your town. You watch as this person like, okay.
Oh my god.
Takes like 2 copper from the bag. She's like, all right, thank you. And she turns and it's like the woman hasn't eaten in 10,000 years.
That makes sense.
It's strange having body stuff again. I was not hungry during that time. I was not tired. I was not anything. I was just there.
Well, I'm glad there weren't added stressors to that kind of torture.
Lead the way. As she like prestidigitates the food, like the crumbs and grease from her hands. I think this is fun. It's been so long since I've talked to people. I'm almost enjoying it.
Which is quite something for someone who says they aren't a people person.
No, I'm not, but I understand when you must talk to people to get things done. And I have not gotten anything done in quite some time, so, you know, I'll enjoy it while I can. And when I don't enjoy it, I build new tower. I talk to no one.
That seems reasonable.
I think so. You all begin walking back towards where Olavi Strand has taken up residence to introduce one scary person to another scary person.
Oh boy.
At this point, it's a bit red in the sky. The sun is beginning its descent downwards. There's a hint of red that kind of brushes out over everything, and it's a cold evening. You can tell as like the shadows begin to grow, and like each time you step out of the rays of the sun, just how cold it is tonight. And you can see that the streets are crowded. There's people going home. They've just finished their day's work. There's people who are going out to drink, and you can hear people having good times and what have you as you make your way around. And I'm assuming casual conversation takes place. And there's a sound like in the distance. It kind of sounds like partying. Like there's some like event happening further down the way. And it's not cheers of excitement. It's screams. There are people screaming. many voices screaming, echoing down the alleyways, and then a horrible sound of stone and wood snapping and crunching, an incredible force. And the screams intensify as it seems people run in your direction to get away.
Are we
I
sure?
think Roshan actually does
Out of the
sigh.
frying pan. I would at least like to know what's happening before we make any assumptions. This sounds like it's coming from close to the Laughing Ocean, is that right?
You guys have made it about like halfway there. This sounds like it's happening from the northwestern quadrant of town. So it's kind of in the opposite-ish direction of the Laughing Ocean.
And we're sure it's not just mushrooms, right?
This sounds like human screams, as then you watch people run past you.
Are there any like overhanging balconies or anything like that I could shimmy up onto?
I mean, I believe you could probably get to a roof if you were so inclined.
Anna can point out some good ones to him. That's how she got back to the Laughing Ocean from Silas's place.
Yeah, I want to not be trampled, first of all, but also I'd like to be able to extend my view as far as possible.
Sure. Then you make your way up onto the roof.
I see.
Go ahead and give me a perception check.
22.
22. Your eyes scan the roofs as your ears like kind of perk up and you follow the sound forward. And you can see where the dust of rubble catches your eye in the distance. And you focus in on that. And that's where a lot of the screams are coming from. And you can hear them making their way towards you. And it takes your eyes a moment to focus in on it. But you can see that one of the buildings, it seems to have fallen. That one building is no longer standing. 2 buildings are no longer standing. At least 3 to 5 buildings that you can see from where you are no longer standing. But you don't see this till it moves. You don't see the gargantuan moving blob of dark ichor and root and twig as something moving on 4 giant, horrible legs, body viscous and moving, as it lumbers through and begins to destroy the town. And that is where we are going to stop for tonight. Thank you all so much for being. We love telling you guys a story, and we love destroying the town on episode 100. Thank you guys for being here at the Dice Cult. We have got a lot of stuff going on. On Tuesdays, we have Legends of Theia, Dungeons and Dragons 5e, run by Frank. If you want to watch some people hunt down unicorns and fight monsters and, you know, all the good, juicy, meaty stuff from D&D, you can join them on Tuesdays. And on Wednesdays, we have Cordially Invited, which is Dungeons and Dragons 5e over on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Dice Cult, where you can watch them bi-weekly, and you can also watch all of our episodes and catch up on everything that's going on to figure out how we've come to this place right now. And Cordially Invited is a Dungeons and Dragons 5e show about planning a royal wedding, and it has been violent and full of drama, and you know, sometimes terrible things happen when you're planning a wedding, and sometimes a lot of blood is spilled. And if you'd like to see exactly where that blood has come from and who it has come from and how bad that is, you are welcome to join them, I believe, this week. Am I making that up? Maybe, I don't know. But if you follow us at the Dice Cult on Instagram and Twitter, you'll know exactly when things are happening, and you don't have to rely on me, the unreliable narrator. And on Saturdays, currently there is no Vampire the Masquerade in the Last Remaining Light. But if you're like, wow, a completed vampire story, if only there was one, well, there is. If you head over to our YouTube channel, you can watch a completed vampire story. And while you're watching that, you can count down the days to maybe another one. If you'd like to keep up with us, we are at Backs of Gods on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you all again. We really appreciate it. And we do love telling you guys a story, especially a terrible one. And we will see you guys same time, same place, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will see you guys then. Good night.
Good night, cultists. Thanks for